Hello, this is Michelle with Artful Possibilities. Thank you for joining me today for my spring gnome painting tutorial. We're going to start by listing the supplies that I use, and if I make any changes in the course of the video, I will add it into the description. For today, you will need a pencil with an eraser, a 1/2" flat, a number 2 script liner, a 10-0 liner. I like my number 6 round, and then a small scruffy type of brush. Alright, for colors, we will be using a mix of different brands that I have on hand. We're going to use Ultramarine Blue, Burnt Umber, Titanium White, Mars Black, Quinacridone Magenta, Violet, Light Violet, Crimson, and an orange, which I'm using Cadmium Orange Hue. I will also be adding some greens for the grasses later on the palette, and I'll be using Hooker's Green Hue Permanent, Light Green Permanent, and Light Olive Green. All right, let's get started. Okay, this is a 9x12 canvas that I'm using today, and we're going to start by drawing our gnome. I have a light sketch on here, and my transfer paper did make some smudges, but we'll just work around that. So the best way, I think, for something like this is to get it drawn on paper first and then use a transfer paper to get it onto your canvas. That way, any changes that you want to make, you can make on your paper prior to applying it. So about 5.5 inches from the top is where I start the circle for the nose. And I'm just going to draw the nose and then a mustache down each side. So it almost looks like an angel with wings at that point. Okay, from there, I'm going to draw a beard, which you can make smooth or you can make it a little jagged. Then I'm going to start the hand, a sleeve, and another sleeve. All right, then I'm going to create the rest of the beard, and I want the beard to come around, right down the center of the nose will be the point of the beard. So, you, like I said, either smooth or jagged. Go ahead and create your beard. Then we're going to give them 2 big old shoes and a hat. And I just make a wiggly line, make it come to a point, come up. All right. Oh, I forgot this hand. Okay, so as far as the flowers go, we're not actually going to draw them in yet. I just want to go ahead and have an area in here that I know that the main flowers will be, because I don't want to build up the beard and have too much texture behind that for when we paint. All right, so let's get started with the fun part. So the other thing that you will want to have is a paper towel that's been wet in clean water and then squeezed out, and just get that into a little like pom-pom kind of shape. Just put that aside for now. So I'm going to take the 1/2" flat brush, wet it in my water, touch it to my paper towel, and I'm going to start by working on the background. I'm trying to get this in the perfect spot for you there. All right, so what I'm going to do is take some Ultramarine Blue and Titanium White, and I'm going to mix a little bit of Burnt Umber in with that to kind of soften that blue. We don't want to add too much Burnt Umber because it will take over. Okay, and I'm just going to start applying that. And I want more blue than that. I'm going to add some blue and add some white. And I'm just going to go all around the hat. Now while that's wet, let's try that paper towel texture and see how we like that. So I'm just pouncing straight up and down to kind of give it a softened effect. And I really like that. If you want it to be brighter, like a sunny day, just use more blue and less Burnt Umber. Okay, and we're just going to come in and pounce as we go. I'm going to keep adding just a little more blue. I don't want it to get too gray. Just going to get around everything. Brush out. A little more blue. And come in with the paper towel. Pounce, 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 straight up and down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the other side. So again, I'm using Ultramarine Blue, a little white, and just a little tiny bit of the burnt umber. And while it's wet, I'm just coming in and pouncing that area. Okay. Add some more ultramarine blue and white. I'm going to wet my brush a little bit. So I'm using a brighter blue on this side, not really adding much brown. Pounce, pounce, pounce. Adding just a little water to the paint also right now. Just trying to get around all this quickly for you. So if you want any areas to look like there's some clouds back there, come back in with a clean spot on your towel. Let's get my index finger in there and just kind of rub out an area. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of pouncing, and we'll get some clouds in there. Okay, I like that a lot. Just kind of fluff them out. And if you get any in the hat, you can come in with the clean paper towel and just kind of clean that off. Okay, a little bit more over here. Okay, gonna get some more lightness up there. Okay, now you can bring that down further if you'd like also. We're going to be adding some grass down here, so I am going to just lighten this up a little bit. Okay, there we go. So while that's drying, we'll go ahead and we'll work on the gnome a little bit. I'm going to rinse that brush and just put it aside and take my number 6 round. And I'm going to take a little bit of my crimson and a little bit of orange. Now this is for the flesh color. You can adjust his flesh tone by adding browns or, you know, making it a lighter color, whatever your preference is. So I'm going to mix the red, the orange, and some white until I get a flesh color that I'm happy with. Again, you can buy different flesh colors in acrylic, in small acrylic bottles if that's your preference. But I like to mix. Okay, now that's just a little brighter than I'd like, so I'm going to add some water. And I'm just going to come in and get that nose painted. All right. Let that set up. While that's drying, let's go ahead and go back to the flat brush, and we're going to paint the beard, and we're going to make a gray. So we're going to take some white and a little bit of Mars Black. We're going to create a gray, and I'm going to come in and just carefully paint in the gray. Now I definitely want to leave a little space between the beard and the mustache. And we actually can put the gray where the flowers are going to be. I meant to do the hands while I did the nose, so we'll come back and get those hands painted in a moment. Alright, here we go. This is just a base coat. It's like a medium value gray, not too light, not too dark. A little more. Whoops, I mixed some brown in by mistake. That's fine. You might actually want to do that. Okay. So I'm going to put the mustache in also. This is just a base coat. I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the mustache and the beard just so you'll know where you're going later when you come in to do some shading. I do want this to go right to the nose. Doesn't have to be completely smooth because we're going to be adding a lot of texture to the beard. I'll put that brush in the water. I'm going to grab that round brush again. I'm going to add the slightest bit of burnt umber to this flesh color. Tone that pink down a little bit. There, I like that a little better. Once this nose dries, we can come in and change the hue of that. So we're going to go ahead and paint the hands. Add some more white. A bit of brown. Okay. All right, we're going to let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and get the hat and the clothes painted. So while, let's see, while the black is nice and wet here, we'll go ahead and we'll get those shoes painted and we'll let them be drying. And we'll do the rest of the clothes. Just straight black. It's okay to have a little space between the shoes and the beard because we're going to be stroking the beard hair on top of those after. Get that rinsed out. Okay, so now we're going to take the light violet. I'm going to start in the middle of the hat with some light violet plus some white. And I need more white. So that's light violet plus white. And then I'm going to dip right into the violet and I'm going to start painting the edge of the hat. I'm just blending it inward toward the lighter color. Okay, I'm going back in with just violet. And I'm going to blend out onto the light violet and white. I'm just going to let those colors blend a little bit. Now we'll have to come in with another coat. The violet is fairly transparent of a color. I'm just going to turn him upside down to complete that. Okay, let's grab some more of the violet, which is really, it's very close to dioxazine purple. And I'm going to paint that darker color all at the base of the hat, around the nose, Okay, so now for the sleeves, we'll use the light violet. I'm going to come in and do a lot of shading with the darker purple color. Now, you know, one of the hardest decisions sometimes in a design is what color you want to use. So just go with your color scheme, use colors that you like. I'm going to bring in some purple and some yellow today, and we'll be adding some yellow to the palette. I'll just let this dry. Okay. All right, I'm going to have to put the blow dry in this for a moment. All right. Okay, you see a little bit of water spilled on the black shoe there. So things like that happen, and then we'll just come in and we'll touch them up later. All right, let's work on the hat again. We're going to put some of the darker purple, the violet, dioxazine purple, whatever you're using, and get it out there on the edge. Just kind of blend in. I'm going to just take some titanium white with that now and just kind of blend it inward. Here we go. And same thing, grab a little dioxazine purple. Grab a little bit of white. Add the white here on the hat and blend it into that darker purple and just kind of let the colors blend. I like to brush over them where they meet so you can't really see where the purple ends and where the white begins. Wet my brush a little, touch it to my paper towel, get some more white there in the middle, and brighten up the middle of that hat. All right, let's flip this guy around. And I'm going to put some of the violet, dark purple. Let's just call it dark purple. You might be using a different color. Whatever color you're using, it's the darker color that I'm putting around the edges of the hat. And then I'm brushing into the middle. Okay, some darker purple again over the face, on the bottom of the hat. Just kind of lightly let that blend. So I just blend by touching the brush between where the two colors meet. I'm going to put more just on that corner of the brush for now. Go around the nose. I might have put the nose a little bit out of shape, and we will we'll rectify that as we go. Okay. Okay, so that's giving him a little bit of highlight. I'm going to put some more white up in here and just kind of blend it in. Oops, some purple in my brush. Grab some more white. So while that purple, violet, whatever your color is wet, you can just blend some of that highlight color in there. So it's helping to bring the front of the hat forward and round the side edges back. Okay, so over here I see where there's a little canvas showing, so I want to fix that. sometimes, you know, the bottom color needs to dry and adhere a little bit. Like right in through here, if I keep brushing, I'm going to create a bald spot where the paint isn't sticking. So I don't want that. I did just notice that I wanted a little deeper in color here. So I'm going to change to my round brush for a moment. So I can get down into the points, and then I'm just going to blend it out a little bit. There we go. All right. Let's get those sleeves done in the same manner. Get some white and some of the lighter violet and come in and put my second coat in here. I'm letting it be a little lighter by adding more white. I just want a contrast. So there we go. And take the same color, come on over here and do a second coat. Alright, while that's drying, I'm going to take the deeper purple and come in and put it around the edges of the sleeve. And then go back to the flat, half-inch flat brush, clean, and just kind of lightly blend it. I have to get some of the purple on that brush for that to work well. Alright, there we go. So that second coat of light purple needs to set up a little bit, and then we'll come in and do some more of that. Okay, very good. So while that's drying, let's go ahead and work on the nose and the hands again. So I'm going to mix up some flesh tone. So I'm using my red, my orange, a little bit of burnt umber, and some white. And you have to keep playing with it till you get a tone that you're happy with. It's kind of fun to do it this way because then you can adjust the skin tone however you'd like. And it's okay if each layer is a little bit different. Now my purple's a little wet there, so I'm going to be really careful at the top of the nose. And try to round it out a little bit. Now when we paint the mustache, we might get some hairs up on that nose, and we might have to go back and fix it. That is the beauty of, I enjoy acrylics. That, to me, that's the beauty of it, is that it's just easy to go back in and touch things up and change things if you'd like. All right. Okay. I'm going to take some more of that gray, mix a little more gray, and wherever I see an area where there's no background covered, I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. Now where the mustache and the beard meet, I'm going to make a darker gray, more black, and I want to come in and I want to put some of that deeper color here under this mustache so we can see where we're going later when we're painting that. Let's get yourself a little shadow in there. All right. Okay. That's looking good. Let's touch up that little spot on the shoes. Mars Black is a great color for covering. It has great coverage and usually one coat does it. Depending, as long as you don't add water to it, you're all set. Okay, let's go ahead and dry this again for a moment. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit of a grassy area in there. I'm going to rinse that flat brush. And now I'm going to squirt out some of those 3 greens that I called out earlier. And we're just going to play with the different greens as this grassy area develops. Okay, so I'm going to grab the darkest one. And I'm just going to brush some of that in there. Not doing anything special with it right now. It's just a base. While it's wet, I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt umber. And I'm just going to pat that in there also. We might even want to come in like this and just make some vertical strokes for now. I am going to put some over the shoes and everything when the time comes. So. Okay. I'm going to turn this sideways for me, and I'm going to put a little bit of shadow at the base of the nose. So I'm going to use a mix, a little bit of the darker part of the flesh mix that didn't get a lot of white added to it. And I'm going to come in and I just have some color like on the corner of the brush, and I'm just going to shade the bottom of the nose. So you need some moisture in the brush, but not so much that it's running. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the hands. I'm going to grab just a little bit of the mixture that I made for the flesh that has less of the white in it. And I'm going to shade the hands where they come out of the sleeve. So I'm just putting the color toward the sleeve. Turn them around, get at the other side. Get a little bit more on just on the corner of the brush like that. And we're going to put the color toward the sleeve and the clean end of the brush on the hand. And we're just going to go over it and just let that blend out. So the goal here is to have a transition from the shading color into the hand without a harsh line. Okay. Now at the top of the nose, I'm going to take the fleshy color, but I'm going to take the part that had more white in it. I'm going to add a little bit more titanium white and just come in, and I'm going to highlight the top of the nose with some white and a tad bit of that flesh in it. Okay, and I'm just going to stroke it down a little bit. And on the hands, same thing. Lighter color, lighter flesh with a little bit of white mixed in. And I'm going to lighten the hands as they come out on the beard. Okay. That's giving him some dimension. Okay, now take a look, and if you want to brighten up your sky or anything, you can go back in with the blue and brighten it a bit. We have some canvas showing here, but I'm going to put the mustache hairs over that, so we're okay there. Alright, so take a look. The sleeves are now dry, so I'm going to come back in with some of that darker purple, and let's get some shading on those sleeves. I have to turn my canvas. Alright, here we go. So we're just blending this, and we're just going over the color and letting our clean brush blend it down onto the sleeve, okay, by just pulling it out. And do the same thing on the other sleeve. I'm going to grab some purple on the corner of that brush, come in, put the purple toward the bottom of the sleeve, grab a little bit more purple. Okay. Again, when we create the beard, we might get some on the sleeve and have to go in and make adjustments, and so that's not a problem. Okay, it's a process of going back and forth and adding shapes and highlights, base colors, highlights, and shadows or shading. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and start working on the beard. Now, when I do my little gnomes beards, I like to make them really kind of hairy and fluffy and have fun with it. So I'm going to be using my number 6 round brush. I'm going to turn him upside down. I'm going to start by working with the beard. And I'm going to get a nice pile of titanium white on my brush, and hopefully there aren't too many other colors mixed in there. Alright, so let's go. We're going to start here, and we're going to start pulling the hairs. Now in the middle, I'm going to make them kind of straight. And then on the sides, you can curve them upward, downward, different ways. Okay. And this is just the first layer. So as we come up near the hands and the sleeves, I'm going to try not to get paint and the beard on that area. I don't want the beard to come up and over. If you want to, you can certainly do that. It's your creation, so have fun and just make him as fun and funky as you'd like. Alright, so I'm going to go above the hands now. Remember, this is generally where our flower's going to go. I'll just put a little circle here to remind us. So I really don't want to get a lot of texture there. So I'm not going to stroke a lot of the beard in that area. And I'm just going to proceed with the rest of the beard with the same direction, going inward and kind of straight in the middle. in here. Let's keep it kind of smooth for the flowers. Now here, you can either, let's turn this right side up. For the beard, you can either have the arms in front of the beard or let the beard kind of stick out over the arms a little bit. I'm going to vote for letting it stick out over the sleeves a little. And in through here, like I say, I'm going to keep it kind of smooth for the flowers. So let me turn this back around this way. Grab some white, and I'm going to go ahead and let some of those hairs go over the sleeves. Okay. And you'll have to keep turning it in different directions and looking at it, and then, you know, deciding where you want the beard to be. If you want the arms in front, then you're not going to bring hairs down on it. Super cute. All right, so let's work on the mustache. Same thing, I'm going to turn this to the side a little, and I'm going to start at the tip of the mustache, and I'm going to let the hairs extend the mustache a little bit. And I do want to let some of that gray show through. That seeing the gray through adds the depth and dimension to the hairs, the mustache and the beard. We're going to come back in and shade under that mustache again also. So we want to get close to the nose, but we don't want to get the hair on the nose if possible. If you do, just clean it with a clean brush. I'm going to go to the other side. That stroked a little bit big, but that's okay. I like my gnomes to be kind of fun and funky when it comes to their hair. I think that's what gives them their character. We can't really give them an expression because we're not showing eyes and mouth, so we have to give them character in other ways, and I think it's their the mustache and the hair that does that for us. Okay, so let's turn them right side up and take a look. I know this looks a little weird here, but we're going to be filling that with flowers, so I'm happy with that. All right, let's take a look. I'm going to add some more to the beard. Let's turn it back. And grab some more white. Again, I'm still using my number 6 round brush, and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to go over some of the hairs with more white and a light touch. And I don't want to cover up the gray that's still showing in there. It's very important to let that show. Okay, so just kind of go back over some of the hairs that you want to be brighter and more prominent, and leave the rest. And it's okay if your strokes are thick and they leave some dimension on the canvas, that's okay. And as the white dries, you're going to see it kind of fade into the canvas, and you'll want to come back in and add more. So again, try to stay out of that middle area. Grab some more white, and I'm just going back over existing brush strokes, trying not to cover up any of that gray. But that had a little bit of purple in it, but you know what? I kind of like that, and I'm going to leave it. Okay, I'm liking that. Get a little bit brighter on this side. Okay, looking good, looking good. Isn't he cute? All right, we're going to let that dry a bit, and we'll work on the grassy area. Okay, So let's take some of the dark green. I'm going to add a little bit of burnt umber to it. I love those two colors together. So that's the Hooker's green and some burnt umber. And I'm just going to come in and make some strokes of grass. And I'm going above the area that we put in previously. And the brown is kind of heavy. Now, I am not going to go through the beard. I want the beard to be over the grass. Okay, now I'm going to dip in some of that brighter green, which is the light green permanent. I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white to it, and I'm just going to come in, put some of that in there also. So I neglected to tell you that I am using the flat brush, and I'm using it sideways, so I'm using the skinny width of the brush. Make your blades of grass uneven. Don't make it look all perfect and manicured. Okay, while that's wet, I'm going to grab the olive green, a little bit of titanium white, mix that together, and come back in with some of that same method. I'm making it a little heavier at the bottom for now. Let some of the dark show through also. Okay, now I want to bring some of those grasses up a little taller. You can also, if you don't have a different shade of green and you have a bright green and you have some yellow, mix your yellow and green and get a really nice like lime green to put on top of your other green, and it will pop. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of white and just come in. While that's wet, it'll blend a little bit. Okay. Light touch, just kind of flick, flick, flick. Don't be afraid to throw a big blade of grass in there once in a while. Make them go different directions. Make it fun. Okay, that's looking cute. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to leave that alone for now. We might want to add some highlights as it dries. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of Ultramarine Blue, and I'm just going to come in, got some green in that brush. Okay. A little more ultramarine. And I'm going to put some more ultramarine blue out on the edges. I want it just a little more blue and not quite as stormy looking as it was looking. And I'm just going to come in with that paper towel and kind of soften some of that. Okay, so let's do that on this side. Tap, tap, tap. So I don't want to tap the color away, I just want to kind of soften it. Alright, so that added some brightness. I'm going to add a little bit down the side. Okay, when this painting is done, I'm going to paint my side edges in black. Okay. Super cute little guy. I still want to straighten out the top of that nose a little bit. It's kind of bugging me that it's a little crooked right there, so let's get some more of that fleshy mix, the lighter tone. with some titanium white. Grab a little bit more titanium white. I know that's really, really heavy, but I'm going to blend it in. I just wanted to round the top of that nose out. Okay, now I'm coming back with a clean brush. I had too much water left on it. I didn't pay attention to making sure my water came off of the ferrule, which is the metal part of the brush. So I ended up with way more water there than I wanted. All right, there we go. That's better. It's more round. I'll take some of that brightness away there. I think my paper towel here is just a little too wet. All right, there we go. Woohoo! Super cute little guy. All right, I'm going to dry him again just for a moment. So now we're going to think about the flowers. Okay, and I want to have a bouquet in there. A nice spring bouquet from the fields. And I want them to have a big rose and maybe a couple of daisies. Yellow and purple work really well together, so I'm going to be bringing in some yellow. We might even add some polka dots to the hat. So let's see. Let's get our pencil and draw a nice circle here for a big rose. And then the rest we're going to let develop as we go. Okay. We're going to have lots of stems. And we're going to have different flowers in there. So let's go. I'm going to take my number 2 script liner. I'm going to dip it in the water. Put that water on my palette, and then I'm going to grab some of the dark green and burnt umber. I'm going to get that nice and full. I'm going to roll my brush in the paint, and it's nice and full, and I'm going to create some stems. So I'm going to have this rose point that way, and I want the top of the rose to be up here, so I'm going to put the stem of the rose there, and I'm going to have it come down. And we might have to make it a little bit thicker just so it shows inside of all the hair and everything. And then I'm going to have some other flowers. So I want some stems that go down between the hands. And maybe up. So we're just playing right now. We're just kind of laying down a plan of how we think some of our flowers are going to go here. I'm going to put some here. And down between his hands, let's make sure we have enough stems for what's going to be going on up top. All right, that's a good beginning. Okay, so let's get the rose base coated. Again, this is all whimsy. So your leaves and everything are going to end up being however you want them. We're not worried about them being realistic to the flower or anything like that. So I'm going to take some white and some of the magenta, and I'm going to mix a color Ooh, that's pretty. And I am going to paint that rose. I'm just basing it in right now. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. Really, really love that color. Very pretty. Okay. So I'm going to make a little daisy, brown-eyed Susan, whatever type of flower that you want to call it. Or let's see. I'm going to, it's really going to end up in this mustache. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and put the top of the flower here, and I think I'm going to have 3 of them. 1, 2, and then maybe over here the other one. You might not see that really well, but as I paint it you will. So I'm going to take burnt umber and a tiny bit of the black, mix that up, and I'm going to come over and paint this part of the flower. So it's kind of flat at the bottom, and then it's, if you held it sideways, it would look like an uppercase D. Okay, just take your time, get that in there. So I'm envisioning about 3 flowers here. And another one, I drew it somewhere over here. Okay, so we're going to let those dry. And why don't we put one over here? I really enjoy letting these develop in front of you so you can just kind of see my thought process and maybe even sometimes how I might go in a wrong direction, because I think that that's all very helpful. Okay, so maybe let's just do like a little baby rose in there too. Again, magenta and white, and right around here I'm gonna do a little baby rose. I really like that. Let's go ahead and put one here. And I'm half tempted, so let's just go with it. I'm going to put one up here in the mustache. Okay. Even if they don't have a stem, I'm not concerned about that. Okay. Good, good. Hopefully you're liking that. I'm liking it. I believe my stems here have already dried. I want to get some shading in here on the beard. Okay. I'm going to try to zoom this in for you a bit. Okay. So I want the arms to pop up over that beard a little bit. So I have to get some black in there, and I'm going to add just a little white because I don't want the black to be too strong, and I'm just putting it on the corner of my brush and I'm blending it on my palette just a little, and I'm going to come in here with some of this darker color and just kind of set it in there underneath the sleeves, under the stems. Okay, and rinse that brush and just kind of go back over it with a clean brush and soften it. I don't want a harsh line from the shadow into the beard. But you see, hopefully you'll see how that helped to give some dimension there. Okay, I also want to do the same thing above the hands. Not where the beard is, because if we're going to shade anything there, it's going to be purple on the sleeve to pop the beard above. But what we want is a little darkness behind these hands. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go back on my palette, grab a little of that black. I'm going to turn him upside down for this and show you. I'm going to put the black toward the hand. It really should be a deep gray. I really recommend using more of a deep gray so you don't get it darker than you really want. We're going to go around this hand and down in here. So while that's wet, I'm going to rinse my brush, make sure I've got it patted out well, and I'm going to go back over that and just kind of soften it onto the beard. If you get some in the hand, you can just clean it up with some clean water. Okay, so what I've done there is I've popped the hands and the sleeves up off of the gnome. Okay, and if there's any areas where color went where you don't want it, just clean it up while it's wet. Okay, I think I obliterated one of my little roses here, so I need to get that back in there. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of that under the mustache too, but it's getting to be tight in there, so I'm going to use my round brush. And I'm just going to come onto my palette like this and just put the point in some of that black. Touch it to my towel. And I'm going to just put the point under the mustache. So I'm out on the beard pointing toward the mustache, and I'm just putting a little dark shading in there. I'm going to grab just a tiny bit more. Same thing, get up under that mustache, add some darker color. I'm going to rinse my brush, come back in with a clean brush and just kind of soften that. Okay. If you get too much water, just dab it with your paper towel. Okay, so you see how I've put some shadow and it's bringing the mustache up over that beard. These are the little touches that take a little time, but they help give your piece dimension. Okay. Go soften that. Now I do want to brighten the mustache there, but I want to get the flowers on first and see what we have there. Okay. So let's go ahead and get some deep yellow, whatever your favorite golden yellow is. And I'm going to use my number 6 round, and I'm going to stroke these petals. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of white in with my yellow. Yellow is difficult to show on top of other colors, so we might have to come back in. So what I'm going to do is turn him sideways and upside down, you'll see, so that I can get in and pull the petals the way I want them to be. So I'm going to pull from the bottom up. I definitely need more white. I'm going to go with more white for now, in with my yellow. I do need yellow though, or we're going to lose it in the beard. Okay, and so I'm just pressing and pulling in toward that center. So I'm not going to have petals at the top of this, just at the bottom. Okay. It's going to need another coat for sure. So I have to do the same thing to these 3. So I have to turn him around. Well, that's, you don't have to, but that's, for me, I like to stroke toward the center that I'm working on and pull my hand toward it. So, all right, so same thing here. I want to create these little flowers, these petals, So I definitely need enough yellow in for now that we can see them. Pull, and I'm going to turn, pull, pull. So there's a fine line right now between our yellow and our white. We need the white, but we need the yellow now so we can see it against the beard. Okay. And I have one more. And they're going to overlap. Okay. And then I might have a couple little petals just kind of out there that look like maybe they fell. I like to do that a lot. So we're going to let that dry. Okay. While that's drying, we'll work on the rose. So I'm going to go back to my flat brush and I'm going to grab some of that magenta, and I really just want to blend it on the corner of my brush, and then I want to come in. I said I wanted the top of the rose to be up in this area, so I'm going to shade down here. Isn't that a luscious color? That's Quinacridone Magenta, and it's just lovely. And I'm going to take some more. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to create a well, a center. Okay. So we need to let that dry because the magenta and white is lifting there a little bit. Okay, let's turn him right side up. Okay, so cute. I need some Quinacridone Magenta and white. And I need to kind of touch up where it started to lift there. Okay. I also see some pencil line here. So I want to cover that up. While it's wet, I'm going to grab a little bit of white. I'm going to put some up here at the top of the rose, just a little bit. And I just keep loading little bits of white, and then I'm going to come around here, put some brush strokes in the front. Okay. A little bit more up here. Okay, so let's leave that like that. As far as the little roses, we'll just take a little bit of magenta and we'll just put it at the bottom, closest to the stem. And that one's pretty small, so we'll just make it darker there. Okay. I'm going to take some black and shade the bottom of these little centers of the flowers with just a little bit of black. I've got it just on the corner of the brush, and I'm just doing the base. It's going to help give it a little bit of dimension there. Alright, super cute. Now, let's go back over those petals. And I'm going to grab some more of the deep yellow. And let's attempt to go with just yellow this time and see how that looks. So I'm just going to hold this and I'm going to pull, pull, pull. I like that. I'm doing it thick enough that it's going to be a little bit dimensional. Okay. And some of the areas might need some more white. Okay, super cute. So I'm going to pull in. Okay. So yellow is tough for covering. So let's get a little bit of white on the tip of our brush and just go back in and add a little white also. And as it dries, if you want to add more white, you know, to help some of the petals pop more, you can do that. There we go. Okay. Again, I like to flip it and work toward my center. Okay, let's get some leaves in this now. I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm going to use my green and burnt umber mix that I made. And I'm going to make some darker leaves, and then I'm going to come in and make some brighter ones. So I'm just going to press and lift. I need more paint. Press and lift. And I'm just going to put some leaves out there. So wherever there's a stem and I want to add some leaves, I might put some under these little rosebuds here. And then even down in the bottom, the stems would also have leaves down in through here. Put some under the rose. And I added some green down in there. So now I'm going to grab that light olive, same brush. I'm going to leave it dirty. And I'm just going to come in and add some of that brighter color here and there. And actually, if you take some titanium white with that, you can come in and make some highlights on your leaves. Or just make some brighter leaves wherever you'd like. I'd love to go and put a lot more up and through here, but his mustache is there and I don't want to hide that. I just want it to look like he's carrying a big old bouquet. I think it needs a little leaf up at the top of the rose, so I'm going to just very carefully add something small right in through here. I just think it calls for it. So as much as I want that mustache to show, I do want to get a little bit of green up there. So I'll put one there and then maybe something here. Okay, that's good. So now let's take the liner brush. So take your favorite. I'm going to continue to use that number 2 script liner. And I'm going to get some of that mix of burnt umber and dark green on my brush. And I'm just going to come in and attach some of these little leaves to the stems. You can leave them unattached also. Sometimes it's cute in a little whimsy bouquet just to kind of leave them out there. I don't always attach them. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Okay, let's get a few pieces of grass that just kind of go rogue and just go wherever they want. So I'm going to get some yellow and some of that olive green and some titanium white. I'm just going to mix them together and see what a couple of light stems will look like. Okay, they're not going to show really well on top of the white beard. I'm going to go dip that brush back into the darker greens. And just kind of mix them all on the brush with some water. Okay. So I went right through the petals when I did that. And it's okay for a stem to be in front, but if you don't want to, then just avoid going through. And I think I'm going to put a couple little petals here, which are going to fall onto the rose. I want to add a little bit more white to my rose. It's just, I'm going to keep it really, really simple. But just in through here, I just want to brighten it a little. Okay. All right. Almost done. Let me zoom back out for you. Let's see what he's looking like. Oh my gosh, so cute. I love the gnomes. Okay, so I'm thinking a little dot in the hat or something like that might look really cute. If we bring some of that yellow up in the hat, I think we'll be happy. So I'm just going to mix some titanium white in with my yellow and come up with a lighter yellow. And then I'm going to make some polka dots. And then you can decide if that's something that you want to add or if you want to leave it out. A bit more yellow. Okay. So let's come in and let's just add some random polka dots in his hat. I do like that because it brings some of the yellow up onto the hat. I like the way it does that. So I'm just using the handle of one of my brushes. That's about the size that I want. And I'm just spreading these out here and there. Now you could go and actually turn these into little flowers, which would be so cute. Which reminds me, I wanted to add a flower to the end of the hat. So I'm going to make it the same way I made the other little one. I'm going to go like that with my shape. Okay. So I'm going to do the yellow first, yellow and white, and then I'll fill in the middle, the brown. Look at me. I am such a messy painter. I have it everywhere. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Turned it the wrong way. And I want my petals to go toward the center. It's easy to get a little disoriented about what direction you want that flower to be in. Get some of the brown. And again, too much water on the brush. I meant to do this from the beginning. It was in my plan. Sometimes I get so engrossed in the painting and the lesson of it and sharing with you that I just get lost in the fun. Okay, I'm going to dry that a little bit so I can get that shaded. But while it's, before I take the blow dryer out, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of little leaves there too. Alright, I think that'll work. Let's get the liner. Put some little stems in there. Okay, I'm going to dry this real quick. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other. I'm going to shade with a little bit of black at the base of the flower, the center here, a little bit of black. And then you can come back in with some yellow and kind of brighten these petals. And take a little white and tip the edges also. And you can come in and do lots of shading there. I want to highlight the top of the centers a little bit, so I'm just going to grab some of that yellow and a little white, and I'm going to come in and glaze a little soft color at the top. Okay, so let's go ahead and just add a little bit more to this side of the mustache. So I need a little more titanium white, because this side is not as bright as the other side. And I do want to have some of it behind the flowers, but I do want to brighten up some of this mustache. So let's get some white and let's see how we do. I'm just going over existing strokes. I don't want to cover our gray. So existing strokes, just go back over, brighten them up a tad. Again, I'm just using a very, very light touch and a little more paint for that. And let's see. Let's turn him back this way and take a look. All right, so I just want to brighten up some more of the hairs. And then he'll be done. There we go. So let's go this way, get some more brightness in there. So again, grab more paint, light touch. Okay, more paint, not much of a touch, so that you leave those dark areas in there. Down in here, I might want to brighten up a couple of these also. White tends to just disappear, and you might want to come in and just add a little more. Do some here at the bottom of the beard too. Oh my gosh, he's so adorable. I can't wait to post this one. And I have a little surprise for you. I have designed a girl, a gnome girl, to go with him, and I'll be doing her in similar colors. And she'll be the next video shared after this one. So something to look forward to. All right, so cute. Love this little guy. I hope you do too. All right, well, thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, you might want to hit the like button, and then you can also subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so you will get a notification every time I upload. Right now I'm doing weekly uploads on Saturdays. And I'm just having so much fun sharing these designs with you. Let me know how you like them. And give me suggestions of things you'd like to see. And I will try my best to accomplish that for you. So, all right. Very good. I hope you love the gnome as much as I do. Have a wonderful day.